there! I'm going through and talking about all the books and short stories that I read in my Intro to Fiction class. My voice is already starting to go, and I have this book and one other book to talk about, so hopefully my voice will stick around long enough for me to talk about these two books. So, the second to last book that we read in my Intro to Fiction class was In the Time of the Butterflies by Julia Alvarez. This book was one of the Oprah Book Club's books, Oprah's Book Club books, I don't know. Anyway, it was, no, that's the next book. Never mind, scratch that. This was the National Endowment for the Arts, the Big Read Selection. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but there we go. It's an award, I guess. Okay, so I'll read the back and then I'll discuss the book a little bit. It's November 25th, 1960, and three beautiful sisters have been found near their wrecked Jeep at the bottom of a 150-foot cliff on the north coast of the Dominican Republic. The official state newspaper reports their death as accidental. It does not mention that a fourth sister lives. Okay, now there is a Spanish name in here, and I am terrible at languages other than English. I'm somewhat okay with German, but anything else, I'm sorry, I butcher. So, bear with me here. Nor does it explain that the sisters were among the leading opponents of General Rafael Leonidas Trujillo's dictatorship. It doesn't have to. Everybody knows of Las Mariposas, the butterflies. In this extraordinary novel, the voices of all four sisters, Minerva, Patria, Maria Teresa, and the survivor, Day, speak across the decades to tell their own stories, from hair ribbons and secret crushes to gun running and prison torture, and describe the everyday horrors of life under Trujillo's rule. Through the art and magic of Julia Alvarez's imagination, the martyred butterflies live again in this novel of courage, love, and the human cost of political oppression. Okay, so this book, I hadn't even heard of this whole tragedy, but although I don't know a lot about world history, shame on me. But this book is written about, it's mostly true. It is written about when Trujillo he called himself president, but everyone else refers to him as dictator, of Dominican Republic. They really were four sisters named Minerva, Patria, Maria Teresa, and Day, Maribal. If you want to look it up on the internet and hear more about their story, there's tons of stuff about them. There's tons of pictures and everything. Day is the only one that survived this whole ordeal. It is an emotional roller coaster. Most of it's depressing. There are a few happy moments thrown in there. Yeah, but I'm really sad that I didn't know about this, and I'm extremely sad that it happened. In my class, a lot of people don't know a lot about the history of the Dominican Republic, and so we kind of talked about it a little bit, and the Dominican Republic and Haiti are right next to each other, and even though I took a geography class, I didn't know that. Anyway, Trujillo was dictator of the Dominican Republic, and I don't remember the name of the dictator in Haiti at the time, but people were trying to get into the Dominican Republic because the dictator in Haiti was so bad, and Trujillo would have any Haitian killed that could not say parsley right in, I believe it was Spanish. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they speak Spanish in the Dominican Republic, or some form of it. Yeah, so they said that the river, I think there's a river that runs in between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. I'm sorry, I feel like such a ditz right now, but I don't know I don't know a lot about this. I'm just kind of repeating what I learned in class. But that, if they couldn't say parsley right, they were killed, and that the river that ran there ran red for 3 years from Haitian blood. I mean, they were running from a dictator that was worse than that. Honestly. The people in the story, and also the people that lived back then in the 60s, I guess, and before that, and also quite a few years after this tragedy happened, they always had to live in constant fear of what they said because they could get killed for it. And that's what happened with these 3 girls, Minerva, Patria, and Maria Teresa. They were trying to change everything because no one liked Trujillo. He was an evil dictator, and they wanted him out, but they were afraid to stand up to him. And these 3 girls weren't, and that's why they were killed. So it's really sad because at the beginning of the story we know that these 3 girls die, and I really like how it's narrated, because here, I'll show you the table of contents. It's set up so that, like, there's 3 sections, and then each sister gets to narrate once in each section. So here's the table of contents. So, like, chapter 1, Day, 1994, and then she also talks about 1943, because this book was written in 1994. And so Julia Alvarez, I know I said Julia earlier, but it's Julia, because she also grew up in the Dominican, well, she was born in the Dominican Republic, and then her family moved to America to escape Trujillo. And they made it, and she made it, they made it here safely. But so yeah, it's Julia Alvarez who wrote the book. So chapter 1 is Day, and then chapter 2 is Minerva, and chapter 3 is Maria Teresa, and chapter 4 is Padre, and then, and then it kind of goes like that in the other 2 sections too. But I really like how it's like different narrators, and then, like, obviously the epilogue is in 1994, and it's from Day because the others couldn't, because she was the only one that survived this whole thing. She wasn't particularly involved in it. She didn't want to get in trouble, and I can understand that. I probably would be more like her. I wouldn't want to die for saying the wrong thing or standing up for the wrong thing, but I do know that I would hope that I would stand up for what I believe in. Don't know if it would actually happen. But if you do want to know a lot about the Dominican Republic and, like, what happened with these girls, the Mirabal sisters, definitely read this book. It's depressing, so maybe not right before Christmas, but yeah, read this book.